Well, today I want to say first, welcome to TailorMade. We're really excited about this episode. There are several things that are going to be happening. For those of you who are not aware who we are, my name is Bernadette Mills, and typically you see me with my husband, Dr. David Mills. And today we are literally live at the Delaware Devoted Dad Summit 2013. And this is sponsored by the Delaware Father and Family Coalition. And I have the privilege today to have the opportunity to talk to one of the most powerful women, not just in the state of Delaware, but she's also received Champions Award from the White House because of her work with the father and familyhood movement. And when you see today what is taking place here at the Dover Downs, they literally have the template for what it takes to develop a coalition for the fatherhood and family, not just in Delaware, but throughout the nations. And we learned even today that the other states that literally father them, or comparatively, that are doing just as well, is Ohio and California. Well, today I have with me the progenitor of this particular movement. Her name is Miss Mary Polk. And so today I'd like to just welcome Miss Mary Polk to TailorMade. Okay?
Thank you, Bernadette. Thank you. It's such many compliments, but it hasn't just been me. As you well know,
sure,
that in order for anything to be successful, it takes a lottery of people.
Can you talk just a little louder, because I don't want them to miss out on anything that you have to say.
I am trying very hard.
I hear you losing your voice because you've been working so hard.
And I will try, because usually people who know me know that this is not my typical voice. So I will try to ensure that you can hear me.
Yes,
okay?
yes.
Yes, I am so proud of the people who are working this summit. And the summit, let me please explain that it is a kickoff for the whole strategy for our year-long process for the coalition under our 4 priorities. And so what we are trying to do in the state of Delaware is raise the voices of males as well as females in co-parenting for the betterment of our children in Delaware. We believe that fatherhood is a major factor to change around some suicide prevention, youth violence, raising our kids where they retain and maintain their education, getting people out of poverty. Fatherhood is a key factor in those aspects. And as a result of that, this kickoff educates, motivates, initiates networking, and for all parties to come together and partner.
Well, I would just like to say, just in terms of several things that you said, our first exposure to the Delaware Dad Summit was actually 1 year ago. And at that time, it just blew David in our minds. We had the privilege to share in some of the workshops, but we also were exposed to so many of the resources that we had not been exposed to before. And then to see what has taken place in just 12 months. You talked about or alluded to how it has expanded for the state of Delaware. There you have county presidents in 3 counties, Sussex,
Kent, and Newcastle County. And with those, we call those community county leadership committees. And that county leadership committee is made up of a president, vice president, secretary, and program coordinator. And that all folds up into a steering committee. And the presidents are part of a steering committee that also has guiders, leaders to help them on different levels to understand what's going on, to help to organize and to project what are the next things that come along. Coalition building is not an easy thing. Please understand this, especially the type of coalition that we're building. This is not a service coalition, it is an advocacy coalition. And so when I talk about bringing the voices out, that men need to take leadership, understanding the challenges and barriers, because we often think because men are not paying child support or because they're not involved, that is a voluntary thing that they've taken upon themselves. And that's not necessarily true.
Hi, good afternoon. I just once again want to say thank you so much for joining us here at TailorMade Marriages. We're very excited today about being live here at the Delaware Devoted Dad Summit here at the Dover Downs 2013. I mean, you've just heard from Mary Pope, you've heard from Darryl Freeman, and now you get to the head of the class. You get Dr. Bill Nix, who is the program coordinator for the Delaware Fatherhood and Family Coalition, and is a major part of what happens here at the Delaware Devoted Dads Summit. A nominal link just released on a couple of days ago, and I just want you to get some insight into what is really taking place here. There are literally over 300 registrants here about the fathers throughout the nation. We know that this is a concern, or many of you have called it a plight, but we don't want to just talk about what's not happening, because across the country there are many things that are happening, and Delaware is literally becoming a model for other states throughout the land. We heard Delaware compared to Ohio, California, and Texas as the leading states who are establishing the model for fathers being restored to their sons and to their daughters and back to their families. And Dr. Nix, today I just want to say thank you, welcome. Now tell us about, one, who you are, your role, and how it impacts the Delaware Devoted Dads.
Great. Well, thank you, Sister Mills, and thank you all. Good to be here with you. I am Dr. Sheldon Nix, and I am first and foremost a husband. I am a father of 3 girls.
Yes.
Beautiful girls, I must say. I think 3 of the most beautiful girls that in the state of Delaware. One no longer is here in Delaware, in Jersey now, but I'm very proud of them. And I'm as well a pastor of a church in Wilmington, Life Worth Living Fellowship. So my whole life is devoted to helping people to actually have a life worth living. I do have a PhD, as you said, in psychology and social work and life coaching and career coaching. I'm all about empowering others, serving God, and seeing people transform, seeing marriages transform, and is absolutely the joy of my life. I have written a few books. I started a program 20-some years ago called Project Manhood. It's been used all over the country in many, many churches, devoted to empowering boys, training boys to be men.
To present for us.
Absolutely, and it's critical. And we can be mentors. When I first started recruiting our men to be mentors, they didn't feel they could be because they thought you had to be perfect. But you don't have to be perfect. You actually have to be available and on the road to transforming your life. That's true of us all. It's true of pastors, isn't it? You know, we don't have it all together. We don't have a perfect marriage or perfect anything. But we're on the road to that. We are committed to that. That's what we're standing for. And so absolutely right. We need to show them those role models. So good for you that you're bringing on people who are doing, you know, good things. And it is generational. And so wherever you are in your family, I tell guys, you know, you can break the negative cycle and start the positive cycle. The whole legacy principle is going to work regardless whether it's negative or positive. So use it to create a positive legacy.
I love it.
To turn things around and actually get some things started, and you will see generation later, 2 generations later, some of that, you know, right there in your grandkids. And, you know, my grandfather was a pastor and involved in the community. I mean, it just goes back. So, yeah, you can get that started, and you need to. And look, there's no time like today to get that started. And at this summit, I mean, we're all about recovering, restoring, as you said, men to be fathers, whatever your history, you know, that's actually history now, right? The past doesn't exist today, does it? It's actually over. It does not exist. As of today, your past is actually non-existent, except in your memory and whatever you do with it. God forgives it if you allow Him to. So now you can start a new future today. As a man, as a father, you can re-engage with your families. You can actually stand up and be the husband or the guy who can love a woman. You know, and I know you're committed to that as well. And start a new pattern. Today would be a good day to start that new pattern.
Hello, welcome to Tailor-Made Marriages. Once again, we are here live at the Delaware Devoted Dad Summit 2013. I'm Bernadette Mills, your host, and today I have the privilege of introducing you to one of the most awesome men who represent this particular organization and so many other hats he wears. But today he's here with us live at the Dover Downs on behalf of the Delaware Devoted Dads, which is really a part of a larger organization, the Delaware Father and Family Coalition. And you've heard us today talk to several of our guests, and they were from the local area. Well, he is a representative of the local area as well as from the national perspective. And I'm just really looking forward to you hearing his insight, his wisdom today, and some of the things that are about to take place on a larger scale. Today I'd like to introduce to some Mr. Patrick Patterson. Patrick, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to share with us. Now, we've been trying to get you for a little while.
Okay.
Me and my husband have just...
We're here. We're here together.
We thought, okay, wonderful. Well, thanks so much for just taking the time. We know it's really busy here. Okay. There's over 300 participants today.
Absolutely.
And you've been making it happen. We've seen you speak, navigate, legislate, and just bring it all in.
Yes.
Tell us about yourself, your role here, and not just here at this event, but on the national scale. We see that you're all over the country talking about one of the most significant issues of our day, which is fatherhood. Not just fatherhood, but also family. We know that that's a real passion of yours. Give us some insight to our viewing audience.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you to Dr. Mills, thank you Bernadette for having me on. Fatherhood is now one of those critical issues that either determines the success of a kid or their failure in many cases. The issue for me is personal.
Yes.
I grew up for a good part of my life without my dad.
Yes.
It's the pain that I felt without my dad.
Yes.
I don't want any other kid to feel that. My wife and I have 2 beautiful daughters, and I promise to be there forever. I always tell her if she ever leaves me, I'm going with her.
Sound like my
because
husband.
our kids need us, and so on a statewide level, the issue in Delaware is still very high. There are a lot of kids being raised by one parent. They need both mom and dad.
And I heard you share some of that today. Give us just that little snippet of those statistics. They were daunting, but share with us just briefly.
Nationally speaking, there's about 39% of our kids in the country are being raised by one parent, mostly mom. In Delaware, those numbers average between 44% for our state, and in some of the counties they go as high as 70%.
That was so overwhelming. What do you think the gap is? What do you think the distinctions are? What do you attribute?
A couple things. A lot of boys, and I'm a young man, are not being raised to be responsible. I've met hundreds of men who, when they find out that their girlfriend's pregnant, as opposed to staying, they leave.
Wow.
Because they've not seen what a man does in that situation. And so that contributes to it.
Okay.
You also have a whole host of men who have not seen parenting, nurturing from other men. So it's very hard to do what you've never seen.
So in each case, I've heard you talk about imaging.
Absolutely.
So in each scenario, what is it saying to me is that it's a critical piece that you not only hear talked about or be taught what it means to be a father, but that somebody actually models it before you.
In most cases, it has to be modeled. I've always believed either you do what you've seen or you do the opposite. And it can be positive or negative. I know a lot of brothers just like me who've not known their fathers, and they made a promise that I don't know what that's going to be like for me, but I promise to be there for my kids. So that's important.
Like yourself, myself, as well as my husband.
The next step after we leave here, this is always great.
It's awesome.
There's energy, there's excitement, there's networking. Is to begin taking this excitement into the communities. Our next step is, now that we have leadership in each county, a president, a vice president, a secretary, we're going to mobilize each county so that it's no longer just a one-time. It's a regular, ongoing effort in each county throughout Delaware.
Wow.
And it's happening.
And it is such a powerful template that can be used for places all over the country.
And we're not done. I mean, clergy, for-profit, business, nonprofit, community leaders, parents. There's a role for everybody in the state to help make sure all of our kids know dads are important and to stabilize our kids, which is the most important thing.
Now tell me this, now we've talked about this on a state level. Tell me your role from a national perspective.
Nationally, I played a role as manager for the National Responsible Fatherhood Clearinghouse.
What does that mean to those who don't understand the lingo?
So the president has made fatherhood a priority. His office, his administration has funded one vehicle, the clearinghouse that I manage, to oversee and uplift fatherhood as a resource, but also as a practice throughout the country.
And what would be one of the final words, Patrick, that you would leave with our TV audience today?
If I can do 3.
Sure, feel free.
The first is that men do want to be parents.
Okay, men do want to be parents.
I've not met a man today that has said to me, I don't want to be a good father.
Wow. Wow.
They may not know how.
Okay.
But I've not met a man who said to me, I don't want to be a father to this child.
Wow.
So men do.
Yes.
Second thing I would say is men need the same resources as mothers to be good parents.
Excellent.
If the hospital offers something to moms, they should also offer it to dads.
Awesome.
If the health department offers something to moms, they should offer it to dads. We both are parents.
Yes.
We both need the same thing. The last thing I'll mention is the earlier you engage men in being involved with their kids, the better you have a chance to keep them involved. So if she's pregnant, someone needs to be in his ear saying that you are as important as mom is.
Wow.
So we have to reemphasize, the earlier we get him engaged and reemphasize his role is important, the better our chances of him being there for the long haul.
Wow. This is so critical. I want to leave you with a... Now you're about to hear from the person's name who you hear most often attached to the Delaware Devoted Dads. Last year we got it as the DDD. That's who we know as none other than Mr. Darryl Freeman. We're excited about the achievements that he has accomplished up until this point. And I'm excited to have him here with me today. Once again, my name is Bernadette Mills, and we are here live hosting Tailor Made at the Delaware Dover Downs on behalf of the Delaware Devoted Dads. So we just thank you for taking a few minutes to come sit with us. Two things I want to talk to you about. First, I want to talk to you about your new book. I want to say congratulations. And then secondly, I want to talk to you about in 1 year how you were able to do what we see happening today. You convened 3 counties, brought 3 counties together. I want to be specific because, see, we think this just happens sometimes. It does not just happen. You brought together Kent, Sussex, Newcastle County, not just brought them together, but you've established structure, vision, objective, a mission, and it's not just on paper. It has manifested and it's being mobilized. And then you have over 300 participants here today at the Delaware Devoted Dads Summit. Not just adults, you also have young people who are here who are going to do a panel. So I hope that the viewers are able to hear specifically what's taking place. So tell us about yourself, tell us about these accomplishments, and what's next for Darryl Freeman.
First of all, I want to just thank Dr. David Mills, and I want to thank Bernadette Mills for having us and wanting us to be on this video and this broadcast, and we really appreciate that from the Delaware Fatherhood and Family Coalition. I am the training director for the Delaware Fatherhood and Family Coalition, working under Miss Mary Pope, who's an excellent co-founder, and she's an excellent manager and leader for this coalition. Really appreciate her, and we're just thankful to just be a part of this.
Yes.
The first thing that you asked me, Bernadette, was about my book.
Yes.
And the book that's coming out has to do with the Spitting Anger documentary.
Can you say that again for us?
Spitting Anger,
Yes.
SPITIN, anger, spitting anger. And one of the things that we found out is with this fatherlessness, that there are countless numbers of grown men like myself and others who are right now today angry, hot with their fathers for not being in their lives, for not being involved with their lives. And they're angry. And you know, if you watch the documentary, which we have so many that are involved in it, you have these grown men saying, I wish I could find my dad. I wish I could talk to my dad and let him know how I feel about what he did to me, how he left me, how he left mom and the children. So what had happened was Kenny Braswell, who's the director of this documentary that's going viral, going international, he came to me and he asked me if I would write the companion book for Spitting Anger. And in this companion book, it's dealing with boys, it's dealing with fathers, it's dealing with men, and it's all dealing with about their anger. So that's the book. And so the documentary that will be coming out in February. We did a promo here. We did a pre-screening here, did a pre-screening in New York. But it's coming out. Kenny Braswell, again, is doing an awesome job. And we're excited about the book. And the book is going to be given out to people who come to the shows that we're going to be doing cross-country on Spitting Anger. And
I'm excited. Wait, but let me first say again, you said so many pieces that were critical just now. You talked about anger. fathers who are angry. Its effect on their children now that they are fathers.
Right.
How do we stop the cycle?
The cycle will only stop as, so many times I hear people say, there needs to be more education, there needs to be more education. Well, there needs to be more doing.
Yes.
There needs to be more example setting and more mentoring. Like, for example, as we did a promo for this Delaware Devoted Dad Summit, as I taught them, DDD.
Yes.
I'm a product of domestic violence in my home when I was growing up as a child, because my father used to beat my mom, etc., etc. And as I'm writing this book about boys, men, fathers, and anger, I realized that I still had some anger built up in me. I'm looking at my dad, tall, dark, handsome, Korean War veteran, and an alcoholic, drinking, and all that, but coming home and beating up my mom. And here I am, 4 or 5 years old, but now he's dead. Now I'm grown, got children of my own, and I'm thinking back, what was my dad thinking when he was putting his hands on my mother? That's domestic violence. But see, here in the DFFC, we don't just deal with the women that are being abused and being taken advantage of physically, verbally, mentally. We also recognize there are men today that are victims of domestic violence. So as an advocacy organization, we deal with both.
And I do like too how you also deal with the abuser, who is the male. Because you have sessions and workshops here, just like yourself, you just talked about its anger's impact on you. And now you have children. But what I like is that you're sharing your story. You're breaking that cycle. You're
and not only sharing the story,
sharing
the story, but I've decided that for me and for my wife, I will never put my hands on her. I've seen the damage of that, the impact of that. When you love somebody, you're not going to abuse them. When you love somebody, you're not going to try to hurt them.
Well, one thing you just mentioned, which is another achievement this year in your life, was your lovely wife.
Yes.
Can I just get her to come on and just come on next to you today?
I would love to see my wife.
I know you would. Come on, beautiful. Come stand next to your husband. Thank you. Introduce her for us.
This is my wife, Carolyn. That's Kes Freeman. And this is the love of my life.
Oh, well, I just want to say congratulations. Thank you for allowing your husband to interview with us today.